let's get into some
You're
good
out of
stuff.
town this week.
I was in California.
Working.
Well, I was working. I had a 4-day conference down in
How come
California.
when you go, you're working. When I go, it's vacation.
You go to like Punta Cana and you go from like 9 in the morning till like 11 and then you're off for the rest of the day. You know what?
California's not a place for.
But you know what time? I start at 9 and we go till 5. So that's a full day we're in class.
Stop.
But it's really, really interesting. We learned a lot of stuff. We had some great economists. We had Chris Voss, who was the lead, the top negotiator for the FBI, which was really cool. He talked about negotiations. And then we
to get people out of the house.
well, then we talked about no, but he just talked about the art of persuasion of negotiating and trust and rapport and stuff like that. So it was really, really cool. And then Tom Bilyeu was there too. And if you guys know Tom Bilyeu from Impact Theory, he interviews a lot of these big name guys, and he runs a major company. And wow, the passion from that guy, Bilyeu, Bilyeu. You check him out. He is so passionate, so strong as a speaker. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But it was an interesting conference because I've talked about, at length, probably over the last year and a half, to brace for a tougher market in 2020. And interestingly enough, one of the top economists, Steve Harney, was there, and he's predicted every recession, every major meltdown in some facet. And one of the things he said is the states in 2020 are going to go through a recession. But interestingly enough, in 2008, when the states went through a recession, it was fueled by the housing market and the mortgage industry, where
bad loans. Yeah.
Bad loans and stuff. That's what it was fueled by. And he said, we have to educate the consumers that the housing market is not the fuel of this upcoming recession. It's like number 9 or 10 on the list. Number 1 is going to be the stock market, which is going to fuel this recession. So the recession is going to feel much more like the 1991 or the 2001 recession, where the housing market actually went up. So even though I predict Ottawa or Canada is not going to be as affected as the States is, I still think it's going to be a tougher market in 2020. But the housing market, I believe, will still go up. So it's not a panic button. But I think the stock market could have some good opportunities, buying power in the stock market, because it will go through a bit of a hit.
There's so many variables, though.
Yep.
You've got an election coming up in Canada. What are we, 60 days away?
Would it be selling or buying? Why are you saying buying? Like, I wouldn't buy in the stock market if it's expected to go down.
As it goes down, I'm talking about. As you're getting good deals, that's when you buy.
When you hit rock bottom, that's the question.
The richest people in history buy at the right times, and it's the housing market and the stock market. You look at the Warren Buffetts of the world, he just knows when to buy properly. But yeah, I still think we're still going to be in for a healthy real estate market. I don't think Canada's going to get hit like the States are going to get hit. But the States, don't forget, in 18 months they have an election coming, right? And so they think it's going to be a bit of a struggle until that election happens.
But I just wonder, we have an election coming, they have an election coming, they're predicting recession. There's a lot of variables coming up in the next year.
Yeah, and I've been saying it for probably 18 months to 2 years that 2020 is going to be a tougher market. It's going to be a tougher economy for everybody as a whole in 2020. So, yeah, and as we get closer to that election, you're right. I mean, the uncertainty creeps in. People don't know what's going on. People aren't buying as much, not selling as much, because they're uncertain about what's going on in that future, in that market.
Especially in Ottawa. Especially in Ottawa.
Yeah, I mean, we're a huge government town, right? So in Ottawa will be a tougher market for sure.
Well, again, the election will play a big part in that as far as the economy in Ottawa is concerned, because depending on which party gets in, apparently it sounds like one likes to spend a lot of money, the other one doesn't. So depending on which party the voters elect to bring in, I mean, it could impact Ottawa much more than it could impact other cities in this country.
It's anybody's ballgame. But
it
you're
really
right,
is
every
at this
time
point.
there's an election, Ottawa market slows down a bit.
Real estate,
Always.
But it'll be interesting to see whether that happens this September and October, because it's still very much a seller's market, and right now, anyway, things are flying off the shelf. There's still multiple offers that we're seeing. We're still getting customers calling us saying, Frank, are you sure we're good on the financing end? Because we have to go in without a financing clause, otherwise we have no shot at this property. So it's still, like, that hasn't slowed down. So
Well, did you guys see the July numbers? Like what happened in July? It was I think it was in 15 years, it was the best July on record. I mean, the number of sales was up 14.8%. Condo market alone was up 23%, which is huge. And the average sale price went up 9% in July alone. So, I mean, it was a big July.
The market is strong. The only thing we're missing are listings.
Yeah.
You just don't have the choice. People are still buying, but the choice isn't there, right?
We've hovered around low 4,000s to mid 4,000s probably for the last
6 months.
Yeah, 5-6 months. Right now we're at 4,213 listings on the market, so we're still hovering on that same spot. And the one segment of the market that's really doing well is the condo market. There's only 504 condos on the market, and that includes low-rise condominiums, high-rise condominiums, condominium townhomes, apartments. It includes all that. There's only 504 on the market right now.
It changed from 2 years ago where there was 2,000-3,000 on the market.
Well, probably 3 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago. I remember there was a Globe and Mail 3 years ago ran a story saying the condo market is in serious trouble. There's 1,800 condos on the market. A year later, there was 2,300. Now we're at 504. So the condo market is really what's spurring the real estate market right now.
It's a long time coming, wasn't it?
There was a slowdown in condo build too. So we went through a phase where condos were being opened up everywhere.
Yeah, but the builders realize there's too many.
Correct. So now it's slowed down, and now there isn't a lot being built right now. There's the big building, I think, on Preston and Carling, but there's not a lot apart from that. There's projects starting, but the builders are really making hay on the townhouses, the outskirts. I mean, they can't keep those things on the shelf, and even though the closings aren't until the one that I got this week was November of 2020. I mean, they're purchasing it now. It's not going to be ready for more than a year from now. So we're seeing a lot of that, and they are lining up at these builder sites to get them.
A year ago, I went into I won't say who the builder is, but I went into a builder site with a buddy, and I think it was probably around May of last year to close in December of 2018. He paid $315 for this townhome. He just recently bought another one, exact same model, exact same everything, $371.
Wow.
Well,
And that's actually cheap because most builders are in the fours now.
I agree. I'll tell you another story. So a customer of mine bought a home in Canada South, closed on it, bought it the year before, closed on it last summer, paid $458 for it, and just listed it. They're going through separation. Just listed it for $609, and they've got multiple offers that they're going with. In 1 year, $150,000.
Yeah.
It's worth getting divorced.
Timing's everything, Steve. Timing's everything. Yep.
521 Talk 521-8255. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. All right, so we're still down at 4,200-ish listings.
Yeah.
But the market is strong.
Market's really strong.
Do you see it changing now where people are going to get more confidence and begin to list their homes?
Well, I've said this before. I said it last week, the week before. A lot of new home builders now are closing in the March, April, May of 2020. So you're going to get people starting to list their homes in September, October, November, December. So even though that is a quieter time in the market, I think, if usually in September, October, November, maybe we're carrying 4,000 listings, we're probably going to be carrying more this time. Mainly because people do have to sell their home after they bought one of these new home builds. And when the market was going through such a tough time, when the market was so hot, but it was so tough to try to find listings, people were going to those new home builders. So I do think listings will pick up a little bit as we go into the fall market.
And is it just me, or is it your experience in the last 5 years, all the old rules go out the window?
Yeah.
For what?
For time of year.
Well, we've had spring markets that have been delayed. We've had winter markets that have been delayed. We've had, like this year.
July was busier than June, wasn't it?
July was crazy. July was absolutely crazy. Yeah. But, you think about it, in January, February, March, usually are, quieter months. They start to pick up as we get into April. January 1st, the market started flying, and that was really, really abnormal. We went through a bit of a lull, in my opinion, in sort of like, the May and June, a little bit of a lull, and then July and August it picked up again. So it's a weird market, but you're right. Over the last probably 3 years, we've seen it's hard to predict.
Apart from Christmas and, depending on weather trends in Ottawa, and this year, winter, most people will tell you, lasted until June. Or spring was a very cold spring. So that's why I think the May and the June were a little slower. But then once the good weather hit, and every lawyer that I talked to said, Frank, July month end was busier than June month end, and you never used to hear that. Like June
30th is usually June month end is usually the busiest month.
Yeah, where this year lawyers said July was busier than the June month end. So again, that's a sign of the winter went longer. The weather, I think, really impacted that. But August month end is just as crazy, I think. And the market, again, if there was more listings on there, the market would be much more busy. But at the end of the day, the builders are building but it's a slow process. I mean, where you used to be able to go into a builder and your house would be ready in 6 months, now they're 8, 9, 12, 18 months away because they're selling. But the difference today is before they used to put their model homes and then they used to build them and hope that they sold them, cross their fingers. Most builders today, by the time that they put the shovel in the ground, they're sold.
Well, what's interesting now is builders are selling out of their phases so quick that they're going into phase 2 and phase 3 sooner than what they used to go into. So used to go into phase 1, and let's say that took, maybe it was, 100 homes in phase 1. That might take, 6, 8, 10 months to build out or to sell out. Then they'd go into phase 2. But right now, they're selling out of phase 1 so quick that they're having to go into phase 2 and 3 quicker than they should, which means your closing date is a lot later than what it used to be. And that's why. I mean, if you sell out phase 1 like that, wouldn't you go into phase 2 quicker?
Absolutely.
The only risk for a builder is predicting price. So if you're a builder and let's say you're selling a townhome in phase 1 at $375 and then you have to quickly go into phase 2. Well, phase 2 is closing, let's say, 18 months from now. What are the prices going to be like then? Do they start it at $390 or would they be more like $450 in 18 months? Who knows, right? So builders have to take a risk there and predict where they see the market going. But that's why builders have a lot of smart people on staff because they need to know, 15 months from now, what are the prices going to be? And we don't want to be underpriced.
And again, it's nice as a builder to be able to put the shovel in the ground and you've sold them. It's
no risk.
No
risk.
It's no risk at that point. The houses are sold. The banks are happy that are giving them money. They're extremely happy because they know that they've got sold products. So it's just a different, from 5-10 years ago, totally different environment that we're in right now.
Well, commission from builders has changed too, right? In the tougher markets where builders really, really needed us, you had some builders cooperating at 2.5, some at 3% just to bring a client in. Now builders, I mean, you got the occasionals that are doing 1.5, but most of them are 1, if not less than that. So builders are saying, like, we don't really need you guys. I mean, we can get clients our own, but which is a mistake.
Are we seeing?
And talking about that though, just real quickly on that topic, I had a client that is good friends with the realtor, and she and her husband happened to be driving by the unit and decided to go in. And they liked it, and then went back the second time with the realtor, and they wouldn't let the realtor participate. So
a lot of times builders will, on the first, let's say it's a weekend that they're busting out of, phase 1, builders might say, we predict it's going to be super busy. We don't even care about you realtors. We're not cooperating with you realtors. After that weekend goes by, then they're like, okay, we didn't sell out. Maybe we need some realtors to help us bring some client. But yeah, that's happening for sure.
So in other words, if you're a client, go in with your real estate agent.
Say, if you go in the first time without a real estate agent,
you lose your right to representation. And I've told you horror stories because, I told you one time I went into a new home builder probably about 3 months ago. And I asked the guy, I had a client who was buying a unit, who was looking at a unit, and it was backing onto a 4-story condo building that they're about to build in 2 years. So I asked him, I dug deeper, I found out it was a 4-story condo building. I said to my client, I wouldn't buy this property. It's backing onto a 4-story condo. Don't do it. And then
right now it's an open field.
Right now it's an open field that says future residential. Well, that can mean anything, right? And zoning can change. So I said to my client, do not buy this property. Like, you can't buy this property.
You could, but here's the risk.
Here's the risk. It's going to be devalued just because of that 4-story condo. And then we're looking at other units, and I hear the same salesperson telling another prospective buyer, yeah, we're not sure what that's going to be. Potentially townhomes, I'm thinking, or maybe small singles. And I'm sitting there going, dude, we just found out that it's going to be a 4-story condominium, and now you're telling someone else. That's the risk of going into a builder without an agent. I just saved my client lots of money, where this poor guy who didn't have an agent is now going to buy this unit back onto a 4-story condo, and his unit is going to be devalued because of that.
And Paul, how many agents are going to do the, are going to do the research you did? How many agents are going to go in there and not do the research because at that point they're just looking for that sale? They're not doing it. That's the risk, right?
That's the risk. But you know what? I'd like to think that there's a lot of professional agents out there that will do their homework, and I think there is. I know that when you're working with a new home builder, you have a lot less work to do as an agent. So do that extra work and find out what is that future residential. Is this going to be a park? What kind of park is it going to be?
That's question number one, is it not?
Question number one. What is building up? What's going around here? And listen, having a single family home that's backing onto townhomes or condominiums automatically devalues your home. So do that homework. And that's one thing where you desperately need an agent to take you into a new home sales center. But once you go in by yourself, or if you go online and you sign in, you've lost your right to representation. Don't do that. Make sure you get an agent to help you first.
Are we seeing more new home builds because the market is slow, or is it just a coincidence, or people are looking to new homes because they can't find what they want?
People are looking to new homes right now because they can't find what they want. So that's why the builders are trying to build as quick as possible, which, you know, I've heard of one builder that needs to slow down their building because they're making lots of errors. But
Well, that's the other thing. You got to be careful, right? Because
Yeah.
you better know your builder.
And bring a home inspection to your PDI, pre-delivery inspection. There's nothing wrong with you bringing a home inspector to do it, because I can tell you, I've had customers that have found some dramatic problems with the new home, making the assumption that it was built properly and it was not built properly.
years ago, one of our, well, probably the second house I bought here in Ottawa after retiring from hockey was, I'm not going to say the builder, but it was a brand new built home. And I brought an inspector in with me. There was honestly 97 things on the list that had to be repaired.
Builders hate it when
From
you do it,
minor
but it's your
to
right.
major.
Yeah.
From minor to major. But you're right. You want to do that because nowadays, I mean, listen, you're driving by new home build sites and they're cutting everything with chainsaws nowadays. Like they're not built like, it's true. They're not built like they used to be built for sure. You got people, you know, using the wrong equipment. They're just jamming things together. And listen, nothing against new home builders because there's some fantastic builders in the city. Fantastic. But just do the right thing. Get an inspector in there, but most importantly, get an agent to represent you so you can find out. Like I said, with this situation, I saved my guy thousands of dollars.
And the price doesn't change, just so you know, on that scenario. So the customer said, well, so now I should get a discount. You're not paying the realtor. Nope. Same price.
The builder already has that built into the pricing. Sorry, they have an agent's fee built into that. So don't worry about, oh, I'm going to save money if I don't bring an agent. Yeah, it's hogwash.
But get an agent first.
Get an agent first.
Hey, we're 10 days away from the first-time home buyer incentive program coming into effect. So next week I'm going to talk about more detail of. I think we're going to get a little bit more details this week.
Good.
And I'll go into, especially with builders, because with builders you can get a 10% bump up.
Have
So
they still not released all the details of this program?
they've released probably 95%, and even after post, we're going to start to see some other details because they're going to figure out some issues they have
We're
with them.
7 days away from our fiscal year end. It's
There
a
you go.
report card season for me.
Oh,
I got to
nice.
know how well I did. I'm really excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Birthdays?
Birthdays real quickly. Gina, Pat Chiarello's wife Gina, celebrating her senior birthday on Monday, so she'll be getting the discount at Shoppers Drug Mart. And my good friend Ruth Katana celebrating her birthday on Monday as well.
Nostalgia Fest.
Nostalgia Fest, we'll see. Hopefully, come by and say hi. A whole bunch of us from Mortgage Brokers Ottawa will be there tonight.
And Advanced
And Advanced Mortgage Investment Corporation.
Things to look forward to from you after all of your wealth of knowledge this week. Can we look forward to some new ideas coming up in the future?
Lots of new ideas for my amazing coaching program. So we're implementing lots of things from marketing to videos to everything. So, and I have Kevin sitting at my office right now by the phones. If anyone at 788-2122, Paul at paulrushforth.com.
Frank N.
At Mortgage Brokers Ottawa.
Can you say that without saying it ever?
No, I can't. I don't know.
Oh, we forgot to mention that you are still the champion of the Paul Rushforth.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.